right. When we last left our band of intrepid adventurers, they had returned from Spinner's Hole victorious. The spiders of Spinner's Folly had been trussed up safely, and Gathering Day was a great success. In addition to that success, they had also unearthed several secret areas within the ruins of Spinner's Folly, netting them extra coin for their discovery, and they even retrieved a magical sword, which now hangs at Angela's side. Now, back in Waterdeep, staying in their room at the Yawning portal, the adventurers emerge refreshed and ready for new adventures which Zacharias has already prepared. Their goal of being renowned enough to participate in the festival grows ever closer. Change is on the horizon as well, and though the party dynamic may shift with new additions to their roster, their goal stays the same. Gain the favor of Waterdeep, enter Undermountain, and reach their goals. Whether for coin, for glory, or for the service of the people, they sally forth, ready for whatever comes next. This is the best available.
So, the party is currently back, and everyone seems more than happy to see the group back there. Apparently, your most recent adventure was lauded quite highly. And the next time that Zacharias reappears, in addition to his normal robe that he wears,
he is also wearing a silver spider silk cloak.
He heads in, and following behind him are two new members of your adventuring group, as your current allies are elsewhere occupied. Talia having headed off to somewhere in the city and given a uncertain time of return, and Ara having been called back to her cloister.
Tobias is doing his best to stay out of sight. This fellow's wearing a cape. He is probably as directly behind it as he can get.
Given how Waterdeep is so cosmopolitan and whatnot, what are the chances that Angela has never seen a rabbit folk before?
The chances of you having seen one is probably much higher than just about anyone else in the north.
Okay.
So about 0.5%.
0.5%. So I don't think she ever has. And then she'll be like, just staring curiously because bunny. Oh my god, is that a walking bunny?
At that, Tobias will step very definitively out from behind the page. I am most certainly not a bunny, madam. I will have you know that my name is Tobias, and he thumps his chest with one of his hands, am a rabbit folk. He stands up to his full height, and that's when you notice his spell book is about half of his size.
I didn't mean no offense.
As the bunny person comes forward and speaks, she just kind of giggles to herself, absentmindedly goes, heh, cute bunny.
Tobias seems to kind of relent at Angela, and he dips his head. It's all right. It's no offense taken. No offense taken. I do realize I am a rather unusual specimen in these parts. And then he hears Velatha giggle about being a bunny, and his ears just fall back flat.
Because deep down, she kind of low-key just wants to pet the cute bunny, but she knows it would be very inappropriate, and so she keeps quiet.
Zacharias reaches over and gives Tobias a slightly firm pat on the shoulder blade. Not enough to actually push him forward, but enough to, lend a little bit of encouragement behind his words. Because actually, these are the companions that I was able to find to assist you. Well, your allies are otherwise occupied. Perhaps temporarily or perhaps permanently, depending on whether or not they like the job. They came highly recommended and have a little bit of experience under their belt, but no group to call their own. So I hope that you will welcome them and do your best not to fluff the bunny.
Absolutely. Welcome. The more the merrier.
Tobias just pats his spell book. I do hope you've use for a caster. You see, I am a wizard. And he says it with like a flourish as if he's trying to make himself as grand as possible.
Well, I'm certain that we would have been in more trouble had you been a fighter instead.
Hey.
I'll have you know that the Warrens of the Feywild host some of the finest military forces the Feywild has ever seen.
I would like to know more about that at some point.
Velatha just kind of looks over at them all and bows her head. Nice to meet you all.
Right back at you.
So, now that introductions have begun, I will simply leave you here with this letter, as I need to go and gather a few things myself. When you are ready, meet me at the eastern exit, the Dragon's Gate, and we will unleash you upon the world once more to go forth and do good.
Sounds like a plan.
Right. So, Tobias, how did Zacharias manage to find you?
Well, I've been wandering for a while, and it's much different here in the prime material. And he kind of pokes his fingers together, just rambles on and on and on about needing to make a name for himself and about how he wants to be the most famous caster that ever was, except he'll have to have a stage name when he's really famous.
This stage name. What's wrong with Tobias?
Oh, but that thing at all. It's just that well, why shouldn't I have a stage name?
Well, I suppose you do have a point there.
Surely I don't want to be recognized by all of the public. No, not all the time. When you're famous, you don't always want people to recognize you. Don't you agree?
Angie just wants to point out that there's not that many rabbit folk around there, but she bites her tongue.
Something, your ears are gonna stick out.
The party decides to stock up on potions before their next outing. You could never be too prepared, especially when fighting alongside newcomers whose mettle remains as of yet untested.
I think we could go for a greater healing potion and a potion of heroism.
The shopkeep, recognizing them from their last shopping trip, decides to give his customers a bonus as thanks for their continued patronage.
I'll tell you what. I'll throw in one more normal healing potion, just for you being such a good customer.
Why, thank you. That's most helpful.
With their preparations sorted, the party sets out to make their rendezvous with their patron at the Dragon's Gate.
Zacharias has a pair of large wagons that currently are being offloaded onto a ship. The ship has parked itself in the grass outside of Waterdeep.
Okay, that's rather unusual.
That is to say, the anchor is on the ground and appears to be wrapped around a large stone holding the ship to the ground because it is floating about 4 feet off of the ground. Zacharias turns and waves to your group after one of the more burly men points you out, and he heads over, floating on a carpet. He says, good. Perfect timing. The empty barrels are being loaded onto the airship. Its destination is Golden Fields. However, there is a more complex matter that I would like you to attend to as well, which entails you embarking on the airship. The reason that I have had my allies bring the airship down from Forgeholm is because the route between Golden Fields and Waterdeep has been rife with hobgoblin attacks. For the last year, around this season, they assail almost every single transport that comes through. Obviously, with the festival going on, there is an enormous amount of money to be made. For Golden Fields in particular, the loss of that trade would be a devastating blow, as I don't particularly want the food bowl of the north to go bankrupt. I have offered the services of my vessel. Anyway, on to your part of things. So, my trusted allies here in the city, Biggs and Wedge, will be boarding the vessel with you in order to assist with the moving of the objects. The crew is a rather ragtag bunch, but they are loyal to a fault. They are going to be dropping you off halfway between Golden Fields and Waterdeep, where the last carts were hit. You should be able to find the wreckage with relative ease, as I have furnished the captain with a spyglass of my own. Once you have located the wreckage, I'm very hopeful that you will be able to follow the path to the hobgoblin's lair. In an ideal world, you will be able to clean out this lair with little issue. However, if things do become too much for you, say if you come over the hill and there's an encampment of 500 hobgoblins, please feel free to come back. If something does happen to happen...
Right. And I take it you'll be looking to hear from us through the email bag?
Yes. If something does happen to happen, just ensure that you are writing on the yellowed sheet as it will wick any blood off of it. I don't want to be reading another blood-streaked note in panic like the last one that I received from our dear Angela over here.
I give Angela a stare.
That paper has been especially treated, and it is paper, not vellum, so it should wick off the blood more easily. As help needed, miners bad. It was really all that I can make out from the last message.
Hey, I was writing in the dark.
I was actually able to tell that. Speaking of which, and he reaches inside of a pouch and draws out a long white patchwork robe, rifles through it for a moment, and then pulls off a patch and tosses it at the ground at Angela's feet. It immediately turns into a small lantern. There. Now you don't have to write in the dark anymore.
Okay, thank you.
You know, you'll actually probably have more use for this than I will then. He started to put the robe away, but then he pulls it back out and holds it out to the party.
Mm-hmm.
This is a robe of useful items. It has numerous mundane objects on it. So if you find yourself in a desperate situation, you may be able to gather some piece of equipment from it.
That actually sounds amazing.
Each individual patch has a small caricature of an item on it, and it is that item which will appear when you pull the patch off. So if you see a picture of a campfire, you pull off the patch and throw it on the ground, poof, it's a campfire.
I'd imagine those are single-use patches, though.
Yes. And after all of them have been removed, the robe is no longer magical. However, it is still expensive. So should you finish out your use of it, please return it to me. If you live.
I could do without the last part, thank you very much.
I jest. It is a little bit of gallows humor. You'll get used to it, I promise. So everyone is going to board the vessel?
Yeah, I just hop on.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Climbing up the gangplank is a very interesting experience, as the ship does feel slightly as if it is still in the water, shifting slowly as you walk onto it. But there is definitely no water around, just a lot of air that you would plummet straight through.
Soon after the party boards the vessel, the crew stirs to life, readying the ship for its departure. The captain, a broad-shouldered woman clad in a leather mask that lends her an almost draconic appearance, barks an order, and moving together in unison, the ship hands free the anchor, unfurl the fin-like wings, and a hissing noise sounds above the party as the great balloon inflates and they are pulled weightlessly into the waiting blue sky above.
Angie looks over the railing curiously, though she holds on with a little bit of uneasiness. She knows her way about ships, but this is so much different than the Ivory Web.
All you see as you look over the side of the vessel is pure white puffy clouds, this time from above rather than below, which is disconcerting.
Yeah, no way to tell how far we are from the ground. I'm not sure if that makes it more or less scary.
Tobias peers over the railing, his eyes wide, and then looks back to the nearby crewmate with a curious expression. Pardon me, sir, but would you possibly know our current altitude? The clouds seem to be blocking any glimpse of the land I might use to estimate. But we are still in view of the land, right? Right?
One of the crew members will swing down from where he was checking on the large balloon hanging over the vessel, and leaps down right next to the rail. Peering over the side, he says, probably a few 100 feet above the clouds. Nothing to be worried about, though. He'll clap Angela's armor on the shoulder.
But how many feet are there below the clouds?
Many. You'd have quite some time before you hit the ground. Oh, don't look so worried. You may be high up here, but nothing is higher than our guiding star, our goddess Tiamat.
Tobias closes his jaw after realizing it's been hanging open for a moment, and scratches his ear with a thoughtful frown. I hadn't the foggiest notion that lizards even had gods.
Angie feels a little bit uneasy. She's not really sure if she's heard the name Tiamat before, but it sounds vaguely familiar, and not in a good way.
Tobias looks to Angela. Should I offer her prayer the next time I find a lizard in need?
Just as the man was heading away from the two of you, he pauses and then backtracks, whirling in your direction and grinning below his drake-like mask. Oh, she's the goddess of more than just lizards. Majestic dragons. Don't let this pale countenance fool you. She is a goddess of great power. And he takes a few steps towards the pair of you, almost stalking forward. She can heal the most grievous wounds, rise up those who have fallen, and bring burning fury down on your enemies. All aboard our vessel worship her. The crew, in any case.
It's only slightly unsettling.
Bethany will be tugging at Angela, just trying to pull her away. He doesn't care much about other people's strengths and beliefs and whatnot, but it irks him very hard when some evil cultists try to indoctrinate his friends. I don't think this is something for you.
The man steps forward and reaches over to pat Tobias on the shoulder, squeezing it gently through his robe. You know, if you're interested, we are going to be having a prayer meeting down below. Perhaps you could attend and hear a great deal more about our deity. Bring it back to your friends and family. We are always interested in sharing the faith. And he will smile at the obvious cleric.
Angie now standing behind the guy, opposite from Tobias. She's like making signs, crossing her arms. No.
Angela would discover that there was no need. Tobias steps back from the man's hand, fanning it away with both of his own. Oh, but certainly not. I'll have you know that I am a fine steward of the sheep.
Of she who?
Oh, that's right. I'm not educated, the lot of you. Not the way you're offering to educate me, which I'm, by the way, still patently refusing. I'm not of this plane, you see. Things are a bit different where I hail from.
Ah. Well, our goddess is not upon this plane either. She is everywhere. But, to each your own, should you need a strong creature in your corner, you could always reach out to me or any of the rest of our crew. As members of Zacharias' party of adventurers, we'll be here to help, no matter the differences in religion. And he will smile and just kind of stride back over, climbing up some of the riggings and hanging over the edge of the flying vessel.
Tobias grumbles to himself. Never heard her name spoken in the Feywild.
As the crew member leaves, Angie will just bow to him nervously. Thank you for your invitation. We'll just hang out over here. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit.
The sharp peal of a bell shatters the current moment as it is rung with urgency, and the lookout bellows from the crow's nest. "MONSTAS, Captain! MONSTAS from below!" No sooner does he call out the warning than the party sees movement in the skies around them. Dark shapes fluttering, floating about the vessel as they rake their gaze across the delicious morsels aboard the airship. Their wing beats can just be heard over the din of the airship's propellers, but any child of the north who has heard stories from their parents knows what manner of beast they face. Harpies. As Angela rushes to the bow with steel drawn, a harpy dives at her with a screech, her talons tearing through the air. Being accustomed to crewmen and merchants, however, she is wholly unprepared to meet the blade of a true warrior. Angela's slash bites deeply into her flank, and the beast screeches angrily, clawing and battering the defender, whose shield arm holds fast, no attack breaching her defenses. Tobias steels himself nearby, not expecting to face combat so quickly, but the young hare finds that his nerves are calm and his focus clear. Waving his adorably small little paw hands about in the air, he begins to conjure. First, the motes that he calls up seem like dust, but in an instant it blooms, begins to glow, and before a moment has passed, the ethereal light forms into 3 distinct bolts, which fly away with intention as the wizard thrusts his arms forward. The arcane missiles curve through the air and hone in unerringly on their target, pummeling it from 3 sides as each impact causes a resounding detonation. The ragged she-beast snarls as she fights not to fall out of the sky, her wing beats stuttering from the blows. Seeing her flock taking heavy punishment, the third harpy descends gently to the very peak of the bowsprit, and lets loose the ability her kind are known for, the enchanting melody of harpy song. Tobias flattens his oblong ears to the back of his head, and Velatha stares vacantly at the creature, enjoying the pretty song without thinking much more of it. Bethaniel and Angela, however, are quickly entranced by the melody. The cleric walks slowly, as if in a dream, toward the prow of the ship. Angela, being closer, is drawn further, all the way to the edge of the bowsprit, a mere step away from plummeting thousands of feet to the ground below. Seeing his ward walking toward danger before him, Bethaniel snaps out of his trance, but Angie walks onward, unperturbed. Seeing opportunity arise from their matron's melody, the other two harpies dive down in a harsh arc toward Tobias, lashing at him with their talons, piercing the young rabbit folk's robe. Being the only opponent they've seen do damage at a range, he has become their most present threat.
Tobias is going to do a very Tobias thing. He is going to hold his pocket watch up in the air as little crackles of lightning snake through his fingers around the chain. And he's going to say, well, when in the sky. And he is going to cast Shatter.
So you want to cast Shatter above yourself, I'm guessing?
Yes, so I don't hit Velatha. He is going to hit himself, but that is totally something he would do because he's actually kind of a shit caster.
The spell erupts in a deafeningly loud sound, resounding directly above Tobias's head and directly in front of each harpy's face. The shrill, piercing shriek of the Shatter's power racks the bodies of those in range as much as it does the ears of anyone nearby. Though it clearly harms the hare, causing him to take a knee for a moment, it seems to harm the harpies all the more, the forceful blast knocking one to the deck, where she tumbles in disarray.
As Tobias's own magic courses through him, he kind of... What it?
Am I supposed to be seeing our tokens on the map right now?
Have you not been able to see this whole time? What? How? Huh?
Okay. Yeah, now I see.
Oh my God.
Crap, I mean that.
I thought he'd been looking at a blank screen the whole time, and I'm like, man, your imagination is way better than mine. I would have been like, bro, what the fuck? Why am I even on roll 20?
Slow clap that gift.
Oh my God.
Well, actually, the last couple campaigns I was in, we didn't play with a map or anything, and so yeah, I kind of got used to it. So I just figured,
Suddenly, Velatha seems to gain an otherworldly level of clarity of the situation that she just didn't have before. Immediately devoid of whatever fugue she had been enduring, the bard comes to herself just in time to dodge out of the way of a harpy's vicious lunge. As the creature flashes past her, she vaults over Tobias and breaks for the front of the ship, calling out to Angela. When the warrior gives no response, Velatha reaches out her arm, aiming squarely at the harpy who is creating the hypnotic lullaby, and calls the full force of her magical prowess to bear. Her other hand rises, and she snaps her fingers with a pair of rose petals between them before giving an unflinching command. Sleep. The harpy's song is caught in her throat. She flutters, stutters, and plummets into the clouds and far out of sight. It takes Angela all of 5 seconds to backpedal off of the bowsprit, sputtering at how close she was to literally falling for the monster's tricks.
No, that's not a good place to be.
Should I make you make a balance check not to fall off the ship?
Please no.
You didn't get that.
Please no.
No, I'm just kidding.
Anyway, well, she can only get over here, but what she can do, she can yeet one of her axes.
You yeet that hand axe, and sure enough, it buries itself in the harpy's wing. She takes 8 slashing and is now grounded, dropping to the deck. Unfortunately, despite being bloodied, she snarls and lunges at Tobias with murderous eyes. Her claws find no purchase. This time, she does actually manage to successfully hit Tobias, not with her club, but with her hands, wrapping her arms around him and pulling him into her grasp. With a look of terrible glee, she moves away from Bethaniel and pulls Tobias, or rather pushes him, toward the edge of the ship.
Yeah, doesn't that give me an action?
You may make an opportunity attack. Bethaniel raises his mace It is about to bring it down at a deadly strike, and the Harpy hefts Tobias onto her shoulder, causing Nathaniel to pause. She doesn't want to crush the little toe beans.
Tobias kicks furiously and struggles with all of his might and screams at the rest of the party members, "This is the part where I did."
And Tobias.
I gotta get out of this grapple.
She has effectively pushed you through the rigging, and your little feet are hanging over the flapping wing of the ship.
Am I still grappled?
Yes.
All right, well, I need to try to get out of that. She's bloodied, isn't she?
Yes.
Am I going to have disadvantage casting magic missile? Like if I tried to attack her? No? Okay.
Put your hands in her face.
That's exactly what he's going to do.
Hadouken.
Tobias reaches, you see his eyes flare wide and his lips peel back from his little rabbit teeth, and he presses both of his palms to this Harpy's face with just this look of insane rage.
Oh, that is an angry rabbit. All right. There are several loud blasts that come from Tobias's palms.
And the Harpy is blasted by the cascade of missiles, plummeting past him to the ground below,
leaving Tobias free to clamber back over the ropes and onto the ship.
Whew. That was too close. Too close.
You're telling me.
Oh, you certainly showed what you're made of.
Upon hearing that, Tobias blinks and then he kind of gives a smug, lopsided grin. I did, didn't I?
Very much so. That was glorious.
The captain will actually start a clapping, which many members of the crew swiftly follow. Harpies are dangerous monsters, that is for sure, and I have lost more than one crew member to them in the past. We're not expecting them because we weren't straying near the mountains, but unfortunately, they don't always stay to their homes. Thank you for your swift actions, adventurers.
Just kind of looking over the deck and searching for the Harpy, and it's just kind of like, I hope she lands in a ravine or somewhere south.
I don't.
It's okay.
Wow, dark Angie over here.
They're trying to kill us. That particular one nearly killed me.
She just wanted you to come over for a bite.
Oh, I'll pass. Thank you very much.
And thus we roll to a close this portion of the Best Availables adventures. Apparently it is quite possible to raise Angela's ire, you just have to try to throw her off of an airship. A pretty reasonable take if I'm being honest. I will spare you the bit where I go over rest types and hit dice and all that, so you can just rest assured that our group gets a chance to recover on their way to the next battle. If you want to see that part in detail, then you most certainly can, once we publish the raw version of this leg of their journey. For now, though, I want to thank you for staying with us until the end. It has been a thrill introducing these new members of the party. Velatha may be a most aloof elf, and Tobias the cuddliest wizard you ever saw, but they bring great strength as well, and I'm sure you will grow to love them as much as I have. If you haven't already, I would love it if you would do the thing, as YouTubers say. And before we move on to the credits, I do have an announcement. With our production schedule pretty ironed out now and our team working like a well-oiled machine, I would like to announce that we officially have an upload schedule. I know! New episodes of The Best Available should drop on the first Sunday of every month. This gives us a good amount of time to make sure everything is polished to a shine, and may, as we get better and faster, and add more crew, even leave room for occasional other projects to see the light of day. Obviously, depending on people's vacations and family emergencies, we might have occasional hiccups, but that's just life. Until we have grown enough that I can afford to pay all of our people full time, this is our best bet to keep you in new content and to keep us from burning out. Now then, on to our list of truly legendary heroes, the people who support our channel and make this whole thing possible. If you'd like to join them and join us in our Discord, you know where to find us. In the description, of course. In the tier of unlimited power, we have Scorpius187, Doodle Poodle, Jay Jones, William Smith, and Denny. In the planar tier, we have PPNTT807, CJ, Someone, All Is Fiction, Darth Cavalier, Joshua Williams Squared, and Sparkle Lord the Fabulous. In the adventurer tier, we have Bastion Falconwrath, John R300, Shadow Menser, Alex, Justin, @Breeze_Bender, Mystics, Katie, Sneaky GI, Nevia Nezes, and the Rosilla Streaming Network. In the Quest Giver tier, we have V, Slathar Silcom, Robert Mischief, and Drew Tucker. And in the Townsfolk tier, we have Night Archer, Shugenja, Scott Stedman, the Ruin Queen of Oblivion, Sergeant Humpty, Tom Brezo, Matus, and Spirit Radio. As always, this would not have been possible without the adventurers that participated and our creative team. Doodle Poodle, Nala Fontaine, Shadow Wolf, Scorpius187, MC_Cheshire, our newest addition, Assistant Editor Thriving Inferno, and the Forever DM, me. I am thrilled that you were able to join our party, and I will see you in the next one. Good night, all.